Butterfly, and that was the Andre Rieu Orchestra and Chorus here at the new Classical 96.3 FM. It's 1:30. I'm Bill Anderson, introducing a very special guest, Roger Oatley from PIA Law. Good afternoon, Roger.
Good afternoon, Bill.
Starting at the very top, what exactly is PIA?
Well, PIA stands for the Personal Injury Alliance. It is not a law firm, but it is rather a collection of three law firms, the three firms being firms that have been involved in personal injury litigation on behalf of people who have been severely hurt and their families for many, many decades. Overall, the three firms probably have 40-plus lawyers who specialize in this kind of work. The three firms got together because of a mutual respect. I think all of my colleagues in this kind of work would agree that we are considered to be leaders in this part of the bar. And because of that mutuality of respect, we felt that there was a need for us to try and have some influence on the new level of advertising in this area.
Before we get into that in more detail, this three-firm partnership, if you can call it that, do you cover a large geographical area? How much of the province?
Well, the three firms historically have taken cases for seriously injured people all over Ontario. Lawyers like us get very used to traveling and spending times in motel rooms when we have to have trials out of town. It's just part of what we do. And we also have specialists in what we call the accident benefits field. And that involves our clients' own insurance companies and the funds they provide to seriously injured people for rehabilitation. And our specialists in that field are constantly on the road, traveling all over Ontario, working with rehab people and our clients on our clients' behalf. But we also have cases in all of the common law jurisdictions in Canada where people have the right to sue. We'll go anywhere to help people for a worthy cause.
So if you are injured in an accident, should you call your insurance company first? Should you be getting in touch with PIA?
I think any lawyer would agree that the first person you call is somebody who is exclusively on your side. And while insurance companies can be very helpful to their own clients, and while some adjusters in particular can be extraordinarily helpful to people, it's so complex. And some of the decisions that have to be made very, very quickly at a time of great grief and adjustment and enormous anxiety are very, very tough decisions that people need advice to make. And certainly I feel strongly that people ought to be contacting an expert in this field before anybody.
So come back to the advertising and why part of the reason to form, or maybe the main reason to form PIA, you have concerns about the level or the content?
Well, we have concerns about both. And, you know, Bill, we've been very reluctant, all of us who were involved in this from the three firms, to get involved in any sort of a mudslinging match with any of our colleagues. And I'm not going to do that now or at any time in the future, but I can tell you that 10 years ago, not that very long ago, you really never saw much, if any, real advertising in Ontario, even though it has been permissible for quite some time now. the result of that was that people who were seriously injured or their families would give a lawyer who they knew who had acted for their family, perhaps their real estate transactions, perhaps their wills, perhaps incorporating a company, or they'd call family friends who they knew who had gone through this before. They'd find people who could provide them with advice, and sooner or later they'd become knowledgeable enough that they would find people who really did have solid experience with a proven track record. And in those days, people who had been seriously injured and were forced to find a lawyer at a time of great anxiety and great conflict in their lives would find a lawyer that truly had the experience and the competence to look after an extremely complicated, challenging legal situation.
And has that changed?
And that has changed, Bill, yes, because suddenly, and it seemed to happen almost overnight, we saw massive advertising by some firms, hockey games, the back of buses, on cars, on bus shelters and chairs and on the roadway.
And what is your concern about this?
And suddenly it was everywhere, but the concern was not only how preponderant it was, but that some of the claims were less than forthright. Some of the claims in the advertising that we were seeing was, we felt, misleading to the public. And it got so bad that lawyers who act for insurance companies who we deal with were saying to us, you guys have got to do something about this advertising. The Law Society, who governs our profession and this kind of thing, has apparently done nothing about it. And the public, as a result, is getting bombarded with this advertising, in some cases, by law firms that just don't have the experience and the resources for these complex cases. So with the greatest of reluctance, the three firms decided that we would together retain consultants and try and provide an alternative form of advertising to the public that was informative, that made claims that were justified. And we have tried very hard to be fair, not to knock any other law firms, but to impress first and foremost on people that they have got to find a law firm, whether it's us, whether it's Thompson Rogers, whether it's McLeish Orlando, or whether it's one of the firms outside of the PIA. We're not the only good law firms, but find a law firm based on the facts. Find a law firm that has really had the experience, a law firm that has the background and the knowledge and the people to deal with these highly complex cases that will affect the future of a seriously injured person for the rest of his or her entire life.
Roger Oatley, thank you for chatting with us and informing our listeners. If they would like to learn more about the Personal Injury Alliance, you have a website?
We certainly do, and I'm embarrassed to tell you that I don't know exactly what the address is. But if someone...
That's why they invented Google. You go PIA Law, and I'll bet you get it.
I think it's PIA.com. But no question, if anyone goes into Google for Personal Injury Alliance or PIA, they'll find it easily, and we're glad to provide information to anyone who's interested.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Roger Oatley, representing the Personal Injury Alliance.